I should have thrown you out the second you crawled into his lap. Funny, this little thing saved me from marrying garbage.
I was 30 when everything I believed in came crashing down. Mia was the same age. We'd known each other since we were 24. Our paths first crossed at a mutual acquaintance's birthday gathering. I noticed her from across the room, mid-laugh, and there was an undeniable pull. She radiated an energy that lit up the space around her. That evening ended with the two of us on a balcony, lost in conversation about our dreams, the movies we loved, the places we longed to explore, and what we hoped life would become. From that point forward, I was completely hers. We became a couple not long after that night. Within a year, we were living under the same roof. Everything felt like it was falling into place, at least from my perspective. Mia had a much more active social life than I did, but I never saw it as a problem. I thought we balanced each other out. I offered stability and peace, while she added excitement and unpredictability. Just last year, I asked her to marry me, completely certain she was the one I'd spend the rest of my life with. She cried and said yes without hesitation. From there, we jumped headfirst into all the typical wedding preparations, visiting venues, sampling cakes, and debating small things like the necessity of an open bar. I truly thought we were building our future together. Turns out I was blind to the truth. It all began to fall apart because of something seemingly trivial, a gift bag, just a small, glittery one. I wasn't supposed to be home then. My shift had wrapped up earlier than expected, and I wanted to surprise Mia with dinner. But when I got to our doorstep, I saw it sitting there, a shiny little bag with a note attached to the wildest bride-to-be. Every moment was unforgettable. Love, Tasha. At first, I didn't think much of it. Tasha had been Mia's best friend since college, loud, unpredictable, and always a bit too much for my taste, but fiercely loyal to Mia. That loyalty was enough for me to put up with her. Mia used to joke that the two of them were the ultimate fun duo, but something about that note felt wrong. It didn't sit right. I took the bag inside and left it on the counter. I stared at it for a while, unsure why it unsettled me. It was probably harmless, but why did my gut feel so tense? Eventually, I caved. I told myself I wasn't snooping. I was just curious. It was out in the open anyway, right? Inside were the standard bachelorette items, a plastic tiara, a glitter-covered sash that said bride's last ride, and enough confetti to make a mess. But at the bottom, I found something that made my stomach churn, a pair of men's underwear, not new. Used. I tried to convince myself it was a prank or a tasteless joke. Then I noticed a flash drive buried under the glitter. I don't know what made me check it. Maybe the underwear was already too much. There was something about the whole package that felt wrong. I plugged it into my laptop. There was only one file on the drive. I opened it. The footage started innocently. Mia and her friends were at a club, packed into a booth, laughing and toasting. The camera panned across to show Mia wearing her tiara and sash. She looked beautiful, like always, but there was something wild in her demeanor, like she wasn't just partying, but escaping. Then came the next segment. Mia was on stage at a nightclub, dancing provocatively with a shirtless performer while her friends shouted and clapped. I tried to keep calm. It's a bachelorette party, I told myself. Things get a little crazy. But then she pulled the dancer by the hand and led him off the stage, toward a private back room. I paused the video. My pulse was racing. I wanted to believe it was a joke or just some over-the-top fun. Maybe nothing happened. Maybe it was all for laughs. But deep down, I already knew. The next part confirmed everything. Now Mia was lounging in a VIP section, drinking and flirting with 3 men. At first it looked playful. Then one kissed her. She didn't stop him. She kissed him back. Then another joined in. By the end of the clip, she was taking all 3 of them toward a hotel room. And then came Tasha's voice, loud, giddy, and narrating like she was filming a highlight reel. "Mia, you're a freaking legend. Bride of the year." I sat in silence, numb. My chest felt hollow. Who was this person? This wasn't the woman I'd held for years as she fell asleep watching cheesy movies. This wasn't the same person who once cried tears of joy just talking about raising kids together. This wasn't the Mia I loved. Later that evening, Mia came home like nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, and raved about Tasha's wedding decor ideas. I played along, smiled, nodded, pretended everything was fine, but I was already gone inside. All I could see was that video. I kept asking myself how I missed it. Were there signs? Had I just been blind? Or was this the first time? I didn't know. And at that point, I didn't care. The person I thought I was marrying didn't exist anymore. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, mentally replaying every second of that video. The laughter, the kisses, the touches, each one cut deeper. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation, but it wouldn't have changed anything. The next morning, Mia was up early getting ready for work. She kissed me on the forehead before heading out the door and said, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe." I smiled back and said, "Yeah, me too." The second she walked out the door for work, I sprang into action. No coffee, no hesitation, no sitting around wondering what to do next. I yanked my old duffel from the closet and began throwing things inside. Clothes, bathroom stuff, laptop, chargers. Anything that fit quickly and cleanly. I wasn't planning a return trip, so I didn't waste a second deciding what mattered and what didn't. I didn't care about the couch or the blender or the flat screen. She could keep every single item we bought together. Let her have the apartment. I just needed to be somewhere, anywhere else. While shoving things into my bag, it hit me. I'd never done something this impulsive before. I've always been the type who organizes everything. Vacations down to the minute, project plans at work, even my Sunday grocery runs. And here I was, shoving random essentials into a bag without a clue where I was headed. All I knew was I had to leave. I pulled out my phone and started searching for a place to go. I didn't want a chain hotel. It would feel too sterile, too real. I needed quiet, space, somewhere I could breathe and think straight. That's when I stumbled across a small lakeside lodge about 2 hours away. It wasn't luxurious, but it was peaceful, and they still had open rooms. That was all I needed. I booked a week on the spot, paid in full, and didn't flinch at the cost. Peace was worth it. Before leaving, I grabbed a folder off my desk, the one that held all our wedding paperwork. No way was I footing the bill for a ceremony that was never going to happen. The venue was first on my list, so I made the call while heading out the door. "Hi, this is Ryan," I said, trying to sound casual. "I need to cancel a wedding reservation." There was a pause. Then the woman on the line spoke with that overly sympathetic tone people use when they're about to recite bad news. "Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. May I ask why?" I wasn't about to pour my life story into a phone call, so I gave her a soft, practiced lie. "Plans changed. That's life, right?" She rattled off policy terms. 20% cancellation fees, blah, blah, blah. "That's fine," I interrupted. "Just cancel it." Once the call ended, I got into my car and pulled away. I didn't glance back at the apartment. The drive felt unreal, like I was operating on autopilot. My hands were steering, but my head was stuck on that flash drive, replaying every second of what I'd seen. Was it a one-night disaster, or had she been this person the whole time and I never noticed? Halfway to the cabin, I stopped at a gas station for snacks and water. While paying, I felt my phone vibrating in my pocket. I didn't need to look. Of course it was her. I let it buzz. One call, then two, then a flood. Text after text. Call after call. She must have gotten home and seen the empty closet. I couldn't bring myself to read anything. I already knew what was coming. Denials, crying, excuses. The classic, "it's not what it looks like." I silenced my phone and kept driving. When I arrived, the place was small, but exactly what I needed. King bed, a cozy fireplace, a tiny kitchen, and a private deck with a lake view. It felt like another planet, quiet, still, untouched by everything I'd just left behind. I tossed my bags into a corner, sat on the edge of the bed, and finally exhaled. A deep, uneven breath I hadn't even realized I'd been holding. That was the first time it really landed. I had just walked away from my fiancé, my home, and the life I thought we were building. The rest of the afternoon, I slowly unpacked, but every item felt foreign in this unfamiliar space. I kept thinking I'd hear Mia shout from the next room or ask if I wanted something to eat. Even the creaks in the walls made me flinch, half expecting her to appear. Eventually, I slapped together a sandwich with the stuff I'd grabbed at the gas station and sat down. That's when I finally unlocked my phone. Over 20 missed calls. The texts started out calm. "Hey babe, where'd you go? You didn't say anything." "Everything okay?" Then they got frantic. "Ryan, where are you? Why's your stuff gone? Are you all right? What's happening?" And finally, the desperation. "Please just talk to me. I don't understand. Please." I didn't write back. Instead, I dialed my parents. They've never been the nosy type, and I love them for that. When I told them I'd left Mia and the wedding was off, my mom just said softly, "All right, honey. Want to tell us what happened?" I gave them the light version. "She wasn't who I thought she was," I told them. My dad didn't miss a beat. "You did the right thing, son. Better now than after you say I do." They didn't push for details, and I was grateful. I told them I was staying out of town for a bit, and they promised they'd be there for me no matter what. That night felt surreal. I kept thinking she'd show up, pound on the door, demand answers, beg me to come back. I kept revisiting every sacrifice I'd made, saving for the wedding, adjusting my lifestyle, tolerating her attachment to Tasha. And for what? For her to betray me like that in one disgusting night? When I finally crawled into bed, I was sure of one thing. I wasn't going back. Not for apologies, not for crocodile tears, not even for closure. That chapter was done. But there was one thing I couldn't shake. Tasha. She wasn't just an observer in that video. She was the puppet master. That footage wasn't some accidental party clip. It was deliberate, a keepsake, something she was proud to have captured. And the note on that bag? You deserved every second of it. It wasn't just a message. It was a smug little confession. From the beginning, Tasha and I never clicked. When Mia and I got together, she was one of the first people from her life that I met. She talked too loud, cracked jokes that were always a little too sharp, and clearly lived for attention. Mia adored her, thought she was the life of the party, but to me, she came off as exhausting. Over time, I learned to deal with her because she was so tightly woven into Mia's world. But deep down, I never fully trusted her. In hindsight, there were warning signs. Tasha was always the one nudging Mia to go out, even when we had things planned. There were nights Mia would stumble in around 2 a.m., drunk, with Tasha laughing in the background, yelling things like, "Oops, borrowed your girlfriend again, Ryan." I used to laugh along, but now it made me sick. At the cabin, I knew I wasn't ready to talk to Mia. Not yet. But Tasha? I wanted a face-to-face. I wanted to look her in the eyes and see what she had to say. Instead of texting her directly, I downloaded a burner app and messaged her anonymously. "Hey, it's Ryan. We need to talk about Mia. Tomorrow, noon, coffee shop on 7th. She replied in under 5 minutes. What? Are you okay? Is Mia okay? What's going on?" I didn't answer. The next day, I drove into the city, parked down the block from the cafe, and waited. Sure enough, she walked in right on time. Same overdone energy as always. Hot pink blazer, absurd heels, sunglasses indoors like she was dodging paparazzi. All peak Tasha. I stepped inside a few minutes later and took the seat across from her. She looked startled for a second, then gave me her trademark smirk. "Wow, Ryan! You scared the crap out of me with that message. What's this all about?" I didn't bother with pleasantries. "Let's skip the act. I know what happened at the bachelorette party." Her expression stiffened. "What are you talking about?" I leaned in, voice steady. "The flash drive, the video. The garbage you left outside our door, I saw all of it." She blinked, then forced a weak laugh. "Oh, come on, Ryan. It was just typical party stuff. You're not seriously mad about that?" "Mad?" I said, sitting back. "Try furious. What kind of friend enables cheating and then delivers it like a trophy?" Color drained from her face. "It wasn't like that," she said quickly. "It was a wild night, that's all." Nobody got hurt. I pulled my phone out and opened a saved screenshot, sliding it across the table toward her. "Mia, bride of the year. You owned that stage, girl. Don't feel guilty. It's your last chance to be free." Her face went pale. She tried to shove the phone back toward me. "Ryan, you're blowing this way out of proportion. It's just a tradition. Everyone has their last hurrah." "A tradition?" I snapped. "Is that what you call helping someone destroy their relationship?" She exhaled loudly, folded her arms, and leaned back. "I didn't make her do anything. She's an adult. She chose it. And you were right there egging her on," I said. "You were supposed to be her support system. Instead, you helped her blow everything up." She rolled her eyes. "Look, she loves you. It was a one-time thing. You guys can get past it." That broke my patience. I slammed my hand on the table, loud enough to make heads turn. "Get past it? You think I'm just going to forget the part where she hooked up with 3 random guys because it only happened once? Are you hearing yourself?" She shrank slightly and scanned the room, clearly uncomfortable now. Okay. she said in a hushed tone. I'm sorry. If things got out of hand, I didn't mean for it to, but Ryan, this isn't my mess. It's between you and Mia. I stood up slowly, pocketing my phone. You're already in it, Tasha, and believe me, people are going to see exactly who you are. Her eyes widened. What are you saying? You'll see soon enough. I walked out without another word. The whole way back to the cabin, her words echoed in my head. She's an adult. She made her own decisions. And as much as I wanted to dump the entire blame on Tasha, that part stuck. She hadn't forced anything. Mia had made her own choices, fully aware of what they meant. That realization hit like a gut punch. I had always seen Mia as this spontaneous, free-spirited soul, but now all I saw was recklessness. If Tasha had lit the match, Mia was the one who burned everything down. Back at the cabin, I opened my laptop and started typing. I wasn't ready to confront Mia yet, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't letting Tasha get ahead of the story. I pulled together the screenshots and video files and sent them to a few friends we shared, people I trusted to keep it quiet until I was ready to talk. Tasha never contacted me again after that meeting. I wasn't shocked. She probably figured there was no way to fix it, and honestly, I didn't care. She was no longer my concern. I knew what had to happen next. I had to reach out to Mia's parents and let them know exactly what had gone down. Mia's family always gave off this prim and proper energy. I never felt fully accepted. When we moved in together 3 years ago, her mom, Janet, acted like we were committing some sort of social crime. She never said it outright, but her disapproving glances and snide comments like, "You know it's not proper to live together before marriage," said everything. Just the mention of our apartment seemed to wrinkle her nose. Her dad, Henry, was a man of fewer words, but the same judgment. Anytime the subject came up, he'd grunt and mutter, "Different times back in my day." It wasn't until Mia and I got engaged that her parents began treating me like I actually belonged. Once the ring was on her finger, everything shifted. Janet suddenly wanted to host bridal showers, and Henry started talking about pitching in on a down payment for our first home. It felt like I had finally passed some unspoken vetting process and was now acceptable in their eyes. But after what she did, keeping quiet was no longer an option. She betrayed me, and now it was time for her to face the consequences, especially with the parents who'd always acted like she was untouchable. They backed her in every way, emotionally, financially, and socially, and seemed convinced she could do no wrong. Meanwhile, the texts from Mia hadn't stopped since I confronted Tasha. "Ryan, please, just answer me. I know you're hurt, but we can work through this. I love you. Please don't shut me out." Every word just made my blood boil. She wasn't the victim here. She made her bed. I hadn't replied once, and I had no intention of doing so. Then a message came from Janet. "Ryan, what is happening? Mia's inconsolable. Please call us. We're really concerned." I stared at the message for a while before deciding this needed to be done face to face. If anyone was going to take care of Mia now, it wasn't going to be me. Let her parents deal with it. They always acted like they knew best anyway. The next day, I made the trip back to the city and drove straight to their home. I didn't tell Mia I was coming, even though I knew she'd lose her mind once she found out. Janet opened the front door, her face lit up with a nervous smile, relief mixed with confusion. "Oh, Ryan, thank goodness. What's going on?" "Mia's been a mess since yesterday. She's terrified." Henry was planted in his usual chair in the living room, half reading the paper. He looked up and gave a slight nod when he saw me. "Ryan," he said, "glad you stopped by. Maybe you can clear this up for us." I stepped inside and took a seat on their pristine white couch. "I came here to explain things," I said, keeping my tone flat. "And you're going to want to sit down." Janet frowned but sat across from me, nervously wringing her hands. Henry leaned forward, brows pinched, waiting. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder with all the evidence. "Mia hasn't been honest with you," I said, "or with me. The wedding's off, and it's because of what she did at her bachelorette party." Janet's eyes widened. "What? What could she possibly have done?" I handed her my phone. "See for yourself." She hesitated, glanced at me, and then pressed play. Her face shifted quickly, from confusion to disbelief to devastation. "Oh my God," she whispered. "This can't be. Please tell me this isn't what it looks like." Henry stood up, face dark with rage. "What is it? Let me see." Janet passed him the phone with trembling hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. Henry watched in silence, his expression tightening. His knuckles whitened around the phone like he was trying not to break it in half. "This is what she did," I said, my voice level. "She didn't just cheat. She made a spectacle of it." And her friends encouraged her every step of the way. Janet dropped her head into her hands, sobbing. "I don't understand. I don't know who she is anymore." Henry paced back and forth, fists clenched at his sides. "That girl," he growled. "What was she thinking? We didn't raise her to be like this." "She wasn't thinking," I replied, "and now she wants me to forgive her. But that's not happening. I thought you both deserved to know the truth, because I'm not going to cover for her." Janet looked up through tear-filled eyes. "Ryan, can't you talk to her? Maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe someone pressured her into it." "She wasn't pressured," I said, cutting her off. "She made that decision all on her own, and I am not going to spend my life wondering when she'll do it again." Henry stopped pacing and turned to Janet. "This is what happens when she listens to Tasha instead of her family. I warned you about that girl. I told you." Janet nodded slowly, wiping her face with a tissue. "We should have said something. Maybe we should have stopped her from living with you. None of this might have happened." I let out a dry, bitter laugh. "You think the problem was us living together? You've always been obsessed with what's proper. But you never once saw what was actually going on. Mia's reckless. She's always been reckless. You just didn't want to see it." Henry dropped back into his chair, shaking his head in disbelief. "Unreal. Absolutely unreal." I stood up. "I'm sorry to drop this on you like this, but I'm done. Mia's your responsibility now. I'm sure she'll show up here soon, crying and looking for help. That's your call. I've already made mine." Janet reached out and grabbed my arm as I headed for the door. "Please, Ryan, don't spread this around. It would humiliate the whole family. Please keep it between us." I gently pulled my arm free. "That's not my job anymore, Janet. How people hear about this is up to you now." As I drove back to the lodge, I felt something unfamiliar. Closure. After years of feeling like I was never quite good enough for Mia's family, the truth was finally out. Their perfect daughter wasn't so perfect after all. She wrecked it all on her own. Later that evening, I got another voicemail, this time from Janet. "Ryan, it's Janet. I don't even know how to begin. Henry and I are heartbroken. We confronted Mia. She's fallen apart. She keeps saying she doesn't know how to fix this. But truthfully, we don't either. I just want you to know. We're so sorry. If you ever feel like talking, we're here." I deleted the message. Let her face her parents now. Let her explain everything to them. Let them deal with the fallout. I was finished being her emotional backup, and the fallout came fast. Once I told her parents, I knew it wouldn't stop there. I wasn't trying to be cruel, well, maybe a little, but people had to know who Mia really was. If I stayed quiet, they'd cover it up and pretend it never happened. That wasn't going to happen. Not this time. The first person I contacted after everything blew up wasn't Mia. It was Rachel, one of her longtime friends. Unlike Tasha, Rachel wasn't the ringleader of the madness, but she'd been there that night. She laughed along, supported Mia's antics, and probably chalked it all up to harmless fun. I wasn't about to give her a free pass. I sent her a short, direct message. "Rachel, I'm aware of everything that went down at the bachelorette party. I have proof, videos, texts, all of it. Don't pretend you don't know. We need to talk." She called me almost immediately, her voice uneven, like she'd been blindsided. "Ryan, what is this? How do you even have that stuff?" I kept my tone cool and flat. "Does it really matter how I got it? You were there. You saw it happen." She hesitated for a few seconds, then rushed out. I didn't think it got that far. I thought it was just a little flirting and some dancing. I didn't know it turned into that. I cut her off. "You didn't know? You seriously didn't notice when she vanished into a room with 3 strangers? You expect me to believe you missed that?" There was silence on the line. I thought she'd hung up, but then she sighed heavily. "I'm sorry, Ryan. I really am. I probably should have spoken up sooner. But it's not like I could control her. She kept saying marrying you felt suffocating, and she just wanted one last wild night. Tasha was all over it, hyping her up. Mia was drunk and just followed the chaos." I nearly laughed out loud. "Followed the chaos? That's what we're calling it now?" "No, Rachel, she didn't stumble into this. She made conscious choices. And you just stood back and let it happen." She scrambled to defend herself. It wasn't my place. It absolutely was, I snapped. You're supposed to be her friend. A real friend doesn't just watch someone burn their life down. By the time the call ended, she'd apologized again and promised to speak to Mia. I wasn't expecting much from her. Next in line was the source of the disaster, Tasha. But I didn't have to lift a finger. After the conversation with Mia's parents, the fallout had begun. Janet and Henry must have confronted her hard, because Mia started calling me nonstop the next morning, over 20 missed calls in just a few hours. I didn't pick up once. Then Tasha messaged me. Her tone was pure fire. Ryan, what lies are you spreading? Mia is falling apart, and now people are treating me like the villain. You need to quit this right now. I smirked reading it. Finally, Tasha was feeling the consequences of her behavior. I didn't respond. Let her sit in it. But what really shifted everything was Rachel flipping on them both. She clearly realized that staying loyal to Mia and Tasha meant going down with the ship, so she distanced herself fast, telling everyone she never fully understood what happened, claiming she would have stopped it if she had. She made sure people knew she wasn't backing either of them anymore. By the end of the week, the story had spread through their entire social group. Mia, once the fun bride, had become a walking scandal. One mutual acquaintance, Qley, reached out to me directly. We weren't close, but she'd always been kind and respectful in group settings. Hey Ryan, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry for everything. I had no idea Mia was capable of something like that. If you need anything, I'm here. Meanwhile, Mia was still trying to get a hold of me. The flood of texts had slowed to a trickle, but they hadn't stopped. Ryan, please, I know I messed up. But I'm begging you, just tell me how to fix this. I'll do anything. It was pitiful. She wasn't sorry because she regretted what she did. She was sorry because everything was crashing down around her. Then came the inevitable breakdown between her and Tasha. It started with passive-aggressive texts and ended with a screaming match. Tasha, tired of being blamed, finally exploded and told Mia, "You were into it the whole time. Don't act like I made you do anything. Stop playing the victim." Qley texted me a day later. Mia and Tasha aren't even speaking now. Tasha's telling everyone that Mia's throwing her under the bus. It's a disaster. I'll admit it. I felt a grim sense of satisfaction. Tasha had spent years manipulating people and acting bulletproof. Watching her empire crumble was poetic justice. The last update I got from Janet confirmed just how far Mia had fallen. At first, I assumed she was just emotionally spiraling, crying, begging, acting like the world was ending. But slowly, I started hearing bits from mutual contacts about how bad things had really gotten. Apparently, after my conversation with her parents, things took a sharp turn. Janet had tried reasoning with Mia, tried to make her own daughter take responsibility, but Mia, in classic form, played the victim. She said I overreacted, accused me of ruining her life over a single mistake, and claimed I should have been more forgiving. That didn't fly with Janet or Henry. For them, reputation had always been everything, and now that reputation was shredded. Once they realized Mia wasn't owning up to anything, they cut her off completely. No warnings, no empty threats. They packed her belongings, left everything on the porch, and told her not to come back until she could admit fault. I'm willing to bet Janet said something like, "You've humiliated this family." It would have been very on brand. Mia tried reaching out to Tasha for a place to stay, but after their blowout, Tasha had no interest in cleaning up the mess. Hosting Mia would have made things even worse for her. Qley told me that Mia had contacted several other friends, but none of them wanted to get involved. Rachel ghosted her entirely, and the rest were too scared to pick a side. In the end, Mia was left bouncing between couches. Whoever would still let her crash for a night or two. But it wasn't just her personal life that crumbled. Her financial safety net vanished too. She'd been working a comfortable job in an office her father had pulled strings to get her into. She barely worked for it. But after everything blew up, Henry made it clear. No more favors. He wasn't going to protect her anymore. Word around the city was that Mia's boss hadn't been thrilled with her performance for a while. She'd already been flagged for being late and slacking off when it came to her responsibilities. Once rumors about her personal mess started circulating, thanks to shared friends who knew the whole story, it didn't take long for her company to decide she wasn't worth the ongoing distraction. Officially, they called it downsizing, but everyone knew better. I won't lie. When Qley filled me in on Mia getting fired, I felt a quiet sense of closure. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because it felt like reality finally caught up with her. She'd spent her entire adult life skating by while others cleaned up behind her. Now there was no one left to sweep away the wreckage. Eventually, word got around that she'd tried to go back to her parents. She'd shown up crying at their front door after losing her job, pleading for a place to stay, but Janet and Henry didn't budge. At that point, she had nothing left. No employment, no home, and no one in her corner. The messages she kept sending me turned more desperate by the day. Ryan, please. I have no one. I'm sorry for everything. I lost everything. My job, my apartment, gone. I know I messed up. Please just give me a chance to make things right. Tell me what you want. I'll do anything. I never replied. She wasn't going to manipulate her way back into my life by playing the victim. She had made her bed. Now she was sleeping in it, alone. About a week later, Eric, a mutual friend, gave me an update. Mia had reached out to him too, trying to crash at his place for a while. True to form, Eric didn't sugarcoat anything. Dude, she's a wreck, he told me. She was bawling, saying she didn't know where to go. But I told her flat out, this isn't my mess to clean. He wasn't being cruel. He was just done with her manipulations, same as I was. Eventually, Qley let me know that Mia had managed to rent a tiny room in a crumbling apartment on the far side of town. She used up the last bit of money she had for the deposit, but beyond that, she was scraping by. She managed to snag a part-time job at a local coffee shop, but it wasn't enough to cover her basic bills. She's barely hanging on, Qley admitted. I don't think she's ever hit this kind of low before. What shocked me most wasn't just how hard things hit her. It was how fast everyone walked away. For years, Mia had been the one calling the shots in her friend group. She planned the get-togethers, made herself the center of attention, always surrounded by people. But now, no one wanted anything to do with her. Tasha washed her hands clean, saying, "She's not my problem anymore." Rachel blocked her completely, claiming she couldn't handle the stress. Even Qley, who tried to stay neutral throughout the chaos, eventually stopped responding to her messages. She'd torched every relationship she had, and now she was left picking through the ashes, trying to salvage something of a life. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel some sense of justice watching it all unfold. Not because I wanted to see her fall, but because for once, she couldn't run from the consequences. She'd built her world on other people carrying her weight. But this time, nobody was there to hold it up. Meanwhile, I was putting the pieces of my own life back together. Each day felt like one step further from the wreckage she left behind. Mia was out there trying to restart from zero, and honestly, that's exactly where she needed to be.